if I asked you what emotions psychologists have spent most of their time studying, would you be surprised if the answer was anger, fear, anxiety, or sadness? Well, it surprised me. Now, don't get me wrong, this research is incredibly important. But focusing so heavily on our negative emotions portrays a very one-sided image of the human experience that fails to capture its beauty and its resilience. We feel such a wide variety of positive emotions, like compassion, joy, love, and awe. In fact, in our everyday lives, we experience these positive emotions 3 times as often as negative emotions. Now, I'm happy to report that a new generation of researchers, myself included, are starting to focus on the impact of positive emotions for outcomes like health, relationship quality, and well-being. And it turns out that across every domain of measurement, the positive emotions are revealing themselves to have a profound effect. Let me tell you about 2 studies my colleagues and I have done. They both focus on one potential biological pathway between positive emotions and physical health. At the center of this work are some important markers of immune functioning called pro-inflammatory cytokines. These proteins are called the regulators of the immune system, and they actively promote inflammation in the body in response to infection, illness, or injury. Now, they may be small in size, but I can assure you that their impact is dramatic. They give rise to acute symptoms like fever, fatigue, and even pain. And over time, when chronically elevated, they have harmful effects for health, contributing to diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and depression. Now, there are many different types of pro-inflammatory cytokines, so in our work we chose to focus on one called interleukin-6, or IL-6 for short. Thanks to scientific advances, we can now measure IL-6 relatively cheaply and easily in the lab by collecting a person's saliva. Our idea was that people who experience more positive emotions would have lower levels of IL-6 circulating in their body. Why did we think this? Well, certain negative emotions have been associated with increases in IL-6. So we thought perhaps positive emotions would have the opposite effect, leading to lower levels of this damaging biomarker. So in 2 studies, we had students come into the lab, and we measured how much positive emotion they felt in the past month. Then we collected a sample of saliva in order to measure IL-6. It turns out that our hypothesis was correct. Positive emotions predicted lower levels of pro-inflammatory cytokines in our student population. So next we asked, are certain positive emotions better predictors of lower levels of IL-6 than others? So in an additional study, we had participants fill out a survey that was designed to measure the frequency and intensity with which people experience 7 specific positive emotions: amusement, awe, contentment, compassion, pride, love, and joy. Not only did we replicate our original findings that positive emotions predicted lower levels of pro-inflammatory cytokines, we also found that 4 specific positive emotions were particularly good predictors of lower levels of IL-6. Those emotions were joy, pride, contentment, and awe, and their predictive value was significant. Interestingly, the emotion of awe had the strongest negative relationship to levels of IL-6, even when we controlled for the other 6 positive emotions, even when we took the relevant personality measures into account, and even when we used another measure that asked participants how much awe, wonder, and amazement they felt the day they came into the lab. So let's talk a little bit about awe. Awe is a powerful and transformative emotion. It's inspired great works of art, incited religious movements, and generated philosophical musings about the sublime. But despite this impressive resume, only very recently have we begun to study this emotion in psychology. So what is awe? I define it by its synonyms, wonder and amazement, and by its psychological experience. We feel awe when we encounter something vast and grand that challenges our worldview. It makes us feel small in the presence of something bigger than ourselves and connected with others around us. Now, you might be thinking that you have to travel to remote places in order to experience this emotion, but I can tell you that that's not the case. In fact, participants report feeling awe about twice a week on average, making it a more common emotion than you might expect. We feel awe when we hear beautiful music, when we look up at the night sky and see the stars, or when we watch athletes achieve feats that we thought were beyond reality. So here's the question. Why would awe be a better predictor of good health than other positive emotions? We don't yet know. It may be because awe is particularly potent at reducing stress or increasing feelings of social connection. It may be because awe generates a desire to engage or explore the world around us. Recent work suggests that awe promotes greater humility, prosociality, and well-being. And all of these things could impact physical health. What I do know is that these findings have changed how I think about awe in my own life. I used to see a walk in nature or a trip to the museum as a luxury that I could rarely afford in my busy life. Now I see these experiences as essential to my mental and physical health. And as a field, we psychologists are changing how we think about positive emotions. We now recognize that they aren't simply the absence of negative emotions, but that they're colorful and varied in their own right, and that specific positive emotions like awe might hold important benefits for things like physical health. Now, we still have a lot to learn about the emotion of awe, but it's fascinating to think that in seeking out the beauty and the mystery and the vastness that our world has to offer, that we might actually find the key to our own physical health. Thank you.